it is important for people to recognize when they're dealing with a soulless person or a soulless man. Okay, so when we talk about this culture, there's a lot of soulless men, but on the subject of soulless white men, right, we're talking about people that blame all the world's rape on anybody that looks Muslim or Pakistani. Okay, there is no compassion for people that are born half-half, that don't even have sex, that are involved in nofap, they're involved in spirituality, they use psychic powers to actually help the white woman, for example, avert a human trafficking nightmare. That's one of my main topics, and one of the main ways I use my psychic abilities is I give women advice on protecting themselves in a world that wants to traffic them from a variety of races and a variety of people, right? But Epstein, what's taking place with that revelation is the greatest sign that we're dealing with demonically possessed white people right now that will ignore that revelation, the revelation about their own leaders molesting people and raping people, being friends with rapists. And they will stay true to the neo-Nazi agenda to dehumanize innocent men, women, children, basically entire families, to call them rapists, to call them murderers, so that they have the excuse to put them in the gas chambers, so that they have the excuse to destroy the entire Middle East. Evil white men are working on behalf of what they would call the Zionist Jews. How do I know this? Because the Jews want to destroy the Middle East. No, the Jews do not like Middle Eastern people. If they do dump them or put them in certain areas, it's to create animosity. It's to create hate crimes. The way that they did immigration was guaranteed to fail. If you don't understand that, you're a fucking retard. Who would think that this was designed to fail or succeed? They put the immigrants or the migrants into areas in America and Europe where they wouldn't be wanted, where they wouldn't be liked, where they wouldn't assimilate as well. And then in some cases, they may have brought in certain criminals to do certain things so that innocent people are blamed, right? We're living now in the day and age where in like Northern Ireland, they were like burning the homes down of Romanians. This is how evil they are. They think that they have the right to destroy somebody's home. They think that they have the right to destroy the Middle East. They think that they have the right to put people that are the children of immigrants in detention centers or concentration camps while going ICE, ICE, baby, and misrepresenting what ICE is doing. Seeing that ICE is just going after the illegals, that's what they voted for. Clearly, the concentration camps are being built for the American people. So when you're dealing with evil white men, they won't even think deeply about what their own government's doing. They will always bend to white supremacy. They will always bend to leaders. If it's not Trump, it'll be Fuentes or somebody else that follows him that will promise that they will get rid of the brown people, even if it means that they're going to face nuclear attack and nuclear warfare. What you need to understand about modern satanic men is that they're more willing to get nuked by a foreign country than they are to be around a brown person. They refer to brown people as biological weapons. They refer to Muslims as biological weapons. They refer to non-white people as biological weapons. They also lie about the nature of white women, which are super racist, right? In some cases, white women are way more racist than white men in my dealings with them. Way more racist, way more cruel. The white men are meaner as far as their comments. They're stalking, they're doxing, they're driving you from one place to another. They're basically doing what the KKK did, with the burning cross, the way they did what they did to me and forced me to basically move into the South, the American South, from Colorado and Oregon, where I would be hated much more. Like, they hate people that look different. My mom's white, by the way, but nobody cares. They don't believe there is such thing as a half-white person if your father's DNA is something else. So they have a very serious allegiance to the devil. We also see this with contemporary Christianity, right? With white Christian men, they're all about basically a Nazi Jesus who's there basically to destroy the lives of brown people. There's nothing about love. There's nothing about tolerance. There's nothing about, not bearing false witness against your neighbor. They're all about bearing false witness, right? That is their Christianity. That is their heritage, you can definitely see the evil of white men when you look at how we had a 9/11 truth movement and those 9/11 truthers became Nazis and they didn't continue to share the truth about 9/11. They didn't care about the people of Afghanistan being blamed for 9/11. They didn't care about how the Taliban came to power. They didn't care how Donald Trump basically helped kill the Afghan government so the Taliban would come back into power and basically be the excuse for the whole world to hate the Afghan people. They don't have the heart. They don't have the intelligence. They don't have the soul. They can't debate. So white men, not only are they not superior, they're inferior. All they have to go on is ganging up in hate campaigns, right? And they don't understand how privileged they are. White men are basically treated like the chariots of the gods, and they often refer to themselves as gods. They're a lot like the black supremacists that see themselves as gods and goddesses. So white men and white women, and remember, they are the same. They do not have compassion for the victims of war. They do not care about the truth about September 11th. They're at war with it. Okay, the only reason that there was a 9/11 truth movement led by Alex Jones was so that he could destroy it, so that he could send it, like a 757, 747 Boeing plane, so that he can send it into a nosedive, right? And that's what they did. They sent the 9/11 truth movement into a nosedive. Their only understanding of New World Order is immigration. Their brains cannot hypothesize that the Jews that they purport to blame masterminded the immigration crisis to then turn those people in the West on the people that the Jews want to kill. Like, they're not talking about the Greater Israel Project. They're not talking about real Zionism, right? So when they talk about their criticisms of the Jews, it's very shallow. It's acting like the Jews are friends with the Muslims, like the Jews like the Muslims. They're acting like they're blind to the reality that the Zionists are raping them to death. So evil white supremacist men, you'll see them sometimes standing up for Palestine, right? But hating other Middle Eastern groups that might as well be the twins of the Palestinians. And they won't explain themselves. Okay, so you hate the Iraqis, you hate the Muslims, you hate the Afghans, but when it comes to Palestinians, they're your buddies. When it comes to Palestinians, they're your friends. When it comes to Palestinians, you're siding with them over the Zionists. And this is the real nature of the white man, of the Zionist white man, of the American white man. They are teamed up to gang bang and gang rape the Arabic world without remorse. They'll use nukes, they'll evaporate. It's really the only thing that makes them happy. And that, you really got to wonder, who are these people that were born white men and white women? What are they really? The only thing that makes them happy are people being burned alive. That's the only thing that makes them happy. They're not happy if people have safety. And they don't want those people to have their own 1488, right? So they're not going to stand in the way of Israel, saying we're going to have the Greater Israel Project and we're going to take over the Middle East. Instead, they're going to be programmed by Zionist or Israeli talking points while thinking that they're against Israel. So that's the real nature of white supremacists. Okay, they're against brown people, they're against tan people, they're against people that aren't white. They support what Israel's doing, right? So when they're talking out of their arse about Zionism, like they hate Jews, they hate Jewish people, they hate Muslim people, they hate non-white people. When it comes to the actual actions of the Israeli government, it is right in line with the Western US-based military-industrial complex. That there is overlap, that Israel has influenced US wars and war crimes. The very fact that there would be a debate over who is worse, the US or Israel, when it comes to war crimes in the Middle East, what the US did in Afghanistan and Iraq versus what Israel did in Gaza, the very fact there would be competition over that between Tucker Carlson and Huckabee just shows that both groups have been super evil and vicious. And so that's basically what we're seeing from white people right now, the emergence of technology and ways to torture people to death, ways to rape people, ways to torture them for long periods of time. There is no real humanitarianism, right? So the Anglo-Saxon conspiracy theory movement, which I've been a part of for years, is totally now allergic to non-white people. It is basically a modern version of the Nazi agenda. It is the Fourth Reich. Whereas in the past, in conspiracy theory, they would warn about the Nazis, right? Look at Anthony Hilder after September 11th, 2001, and he has been associated with Ground Zero's Clyde Lewis. He's been associated with Alex Jones in the past. I knew him in the past, right? So we could see people like that when George Bush was the president talk about how our nation was becoming a Nazi superstate, and people supported it. Some people on the left even supported it. And over time, both the left and the right has been neutered to not look at the hard questions about September 11, 2001, to not care about those people, right? So there is no real difference between the left and the right when it comes to evil white men, right? Evil white men are all over the left. And they love to laugh at somebody who's not getting laid. They love to laugh at anybody who's seen as a conspiracy theorist. They love to hold up lies about women. that women are more empathetic, that women are victims. They basically are living off of the privilege of being white and taller than other humans that are browner and shorter, right? So liberal white men, or men on the left, men that vote for Obama, other types of men, they are recipients, you understand, of this white supremacy system. Okay, they benefit from white supremacy. This is why white men on the left are evil in many cases. When they're told about concentration camps, when they're told about 9/11, when they're told about the surveillance society, they're naturally weak, right? And they don't actually want to stand up against the bear. And then you'll see, obviously, the nature of evil white men and women when it comes to NPR and NPR reporting, right? You won't hear a masculine, strong man on NPR with a strong bear voice like, I'm a man. I stand against evil. I'm a fucking man. No. You have weak, white, pansy pieces of shit, basically, on NPR that sound like they have a mommy behind them. You know, some sort of like, controlling female figure who's standing behind him, making sure that when he's on the air, he talks in a passive voice. He talks in a weak voice. He repeats the official story. Take your jab now. Take your vaccine. Of course, the people that didn't take the vaccine, the people that didn't take the jab, that think they're awake, the other stupid white men, they did take the jab. They did take the infection, right? They did get the implantation, but it was here, right? So evil in the world, evil spirits, the alien agenda, if you will, they rule the world through the bloodlines that they control. Okay, this is the real reason why white people that are working on behalf of the devil want to get rid of people that look like me. Just get rid of them, because we are the ones that will stand against this system. We are the ones that have the courage. We are the ones that have the morality. And it's interesting that they make up lies that they channel from the devil about non-white people, saying that they are the first to go along with the system. They are first to do this. None of those things define me. None of those things define my years of writing and the books that I've written exposing the system. They're lying out their ass because that's what they do. Evil white men don't talk about the internet as it really functions, as the algorithm really functions to basically promote white supremacy and to oppress anybody that's talking about Nazis or racism. This video, by the way, will have hardly any views on YouTube because I'm a person to be oppressed in both the real world and the internet, according to the Matrix, and they are the chariots of the gods to basically be carried, as they sit on these golden chariots as if they are the Fuhrer, as if they are, angels, gods, heavenly beings being carried by the algorithm. The entire time while they're being carried by the algorithm and they have hundreds of views or thousands of subscribers, they're acting like they're victims. While they have a viral level of reach and viral content creators, their whole reach and popularity comes from hate. Hate is all white people have. And the difference between me and white people is I'm looking for good white people to engage with me, to show me that they are different, that they don't believe that this describes them, that they're not racist, that they are different than the rest. I can't find any exceptions to the rule. Whereas they, on the other hand, they'll act like anybody who's not white is the same. Anybody who's not white is a rapist. Anybody who's seen as not white shouldn't be here, doesn't have any value. They're not looking for the exception of the rule. They are fundamentally different. Okay? White people are fundamentally different as far as how their brains work, as far as their behaviors, as far as their inclination towards sin and evil things. They are like a completely different animal, or beast, or machine, or android. No pun intended. But they are not like other forms of life, which is why, even if white people and white women, white men aren't directly involved in the genocide, they have no normal detectable human feelings or emotions when people are evaporated. They're either overtly happy or they're like the silent person, including the silent New Ager, who's sitting in the lotus position, who's in a circle of all white people, all white women with long blonde hair going, "Oh, we're so spiritual because we're white and we have juicy titties." Oh, but they're not. And they're actually likely going to come back, if I have any say in it, as Iraqi in 2050 to learn compassion, right? And many of them, they won't be compassionate for non-white people until they incarnate, which is what they want, into a non-white body. And hey, your wish is my command.